Alex here with the Review Journal's Judicial Survey. This is not a topic that we originally intended to cover. The Las Vegas Review Journal has used surveys like this during elections typically for quite some time now. Downey Research is the organization that prepares the survey and handles the responses. It typically, or at least appears to, involve sending a list of questionnaires to active members of the bar or attorneys, asking them to, at least in part, rate active presiding judges. A small handful of attorneys reached out to us with some concerns as to the integrity of the judicial survey. Later, an active presiding judge elaborated on those concerns and provided supporting documentation. The allegations were as follows. Number one, active presiding judges were receiving the survey and reviewing themselves before submitting their responses. Number two, certain members of judicial staff, specifically those that have a license to practice law, were also receiving the survey and were doing what amounted to the same thing, only they were reviewing their boss, the judge. Number three, certain firms were directing attorney members of that firm to review specific judges, whether to give them a positive response or a negative response. We reached out on August 8th to Downey Research Consultants, the organization that the Las Vegas Review Journal directed to conduct the survey, and received an immediate response from Nancy Downey, the project manager, indicating that she was going to consult with her supervisor before getting back to us. On August 13th, we received a detailed response to our concerns as follows. Number one, the organization is endeavoring to, in this current survey, remove active judges from the mailing list. This seems to imply that it is possible that judges were reviewing themselves during previous iterations of the survey. Number two, the instructions as to the eligibility requirements that must be read and affirmed by the attorneys who fill them out are being altered to make it more clear as to what they are reviewing judges on, and also as to which judges they should be submitting an evaluation on. The issue of firms directing their associate attorneys to fill out reviews on specific judges seems to have been addressed by including a disclaimer on any judicial evaluation based on a small sample size. This seems to imply that realistically, efforts by attorneys acting in concert to artificially alter the results of a judicial survey is unlikely to have significant enough of an impact on the overall score of a judicial evaluation based on a large sample size. We're going to provide the email sent to Nancy Downing and her detailed response down in the description below. You'll be able to click on the link to view it for yourself. And we're also going to go ahead and discuss the perception of the public with regards to how it should be dealt with. 87%, an overwhelming proportion of people wanted the survey purged from our repositories. 13% indicated that the survey should remain. Ultimately, we decided, based on the response from Downey Research, the survey is going to be presumed to be valid and reliable. If a specific judge, however, has detailed information to the contrary, at least specific to themselves, they can definitely reach out to us, and we will consider, based on the documentation they provide, whether or not to hide the survey responses from their profile. At this time, we are going to go ahead and jump into some comments from Alex Ghibaudo. So, Mr. Ghibaudo, why don't you let us know, about a little bit about your practice and what you do?
Well, I have my own firm, Alex B. Ghibaudo PC. It's general practice. I do primarily family law and criminal defense, but I also do some civil stuff and some appellate stuff as well.
So specifically, I'm reaching out to you because I noticed some comments on the Las Vegas Review Journal's judicial survey that actually resonated with me. And it had to do with how the demeanor of a particular judge doesn't necessarily equate to the competency of the judge. And I was hoping you could elaborate for the viewers.
Yeah, I mean, some judges, every judge is an individual, right? So they all have their individual personalities. Not all of them are personable. Some of them have nasty dispositions. Some of them have a lot more charisma. You know, some of them can cut your throat with a smile and make you love them for it, and others, when the slightest of things that they say to you, you'll hate them for it because they're people just like anybody else. That doesn't mean that their decisions are necessarily wrong. You know, I think the one that gets a lot of heat, a lot of flack is Judge Hughes, Rena Hughes. Um, you know, she comes off as cold and heartless sometimes, it seems like. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that she's a woman. I don't think she gets as much heat from attorneys and litigants if it was a male judge doing the same type of thing in the same type of way.
Yeah,
You know,
that's definitely something that I've noticed as well with a few other judges. First off, some of them that I've heard about, such as Gerald Hardcastle, some of them that I've seen in action, such as Kathy Hardcastle, and including Rena Hughes. And there are certain judges out there who don't have the best. I guess you could say they're not polite, but they are very competent in their decisions, and so
they know what they're doing.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and that's three good examples. You take the two Hardcastles and Rena Hughes. What's the difference between the three of them?
yeah.
Nothing really. They're all brutal.
So I
You know,
definitely
they all have that crazy hard disposition where they just come at you just real matter of fact and brutally,
right,
sometimes condescendingly.
right.
But the only two that get the heat is the female Hardcastle and Rena Hughes. You rarely hear about Joe Hardcastle or he can be. He
Yeah.
can be. You
Well,
know.
one thing that is that many people say about our Nevada judges is it's about competency over everything else. So I really wanted to get that perspective from you. And
Yeah, no problem.
we were also able to obtain a written statement from a proponent of the Review Journal's judicial survey, Dave Schoen, political advocate and advanced certified paralegal. Mr. Schoen concedes that there is some concern over judges being rated by attorneys who don't practice in front of them, but points out that the legal community is small and that judges do build reputations. There is also the point that the appellate reversal rates provided by our organization probably should not be the only metric available to the public, and that these reviews are valid opinions of lawyers and that the public can and should take into consideration more than just those error rates. You can read Mr. Schoen's written statement verbatim down in the description below by clicking on the link. We'll definitely be interested in taking a look at those survey responses once they are compiled by Downey Research. If anyone has any questions or comments, as with our previous videos, feel free to post something down in the comments below or send us an email at admin@ournevadajudges.com.